By the way, this is something that even if you don't know anything else, when you see stuff like this, it's always like a signal to start looking into it more, or to start in your mind just kind of calling bullshit. You know what I mean? Like if you see, and this happens with so many different issues. I mean, I'm old enough to remember back when the Dick Cheneys of the world would say, if you were like, hey, I don't think Saddam does have weapons of mass destruction. Can we see some proof of that? And they'd say, oh, you're not supporting the troops, or you're with the terrorists. I still remember that when that was a really hard, and this was like right after 9/11, where like if you said that was kind of like a fucked up thing to say. And people would be like, whoa, I don't want to be with the terrorists. I'm not like, no, I support the troops. I don't like that was the line. If you go, oh, can I actually see the proof that the world's going to end in 12 years from climate change? It's like, well, you're a denier. You don't believe in science. When somebody can't meet you back, especially when you're just simply saying, I'd like to see some evidence of this. Before we go on this whole Trump-Russia collusion thing, can I see a piece of evidence? And their response is, you're working for Putin? Or you're doing the bidding of Putin? That's a good indication right away that that person might just be full of shit. That's a good place to start, and then start digging. So let's just play a little bit more from Tucker as he reminisces.
Years. It has completely changed Washington. People in this city are now afraid. They watch what they say. They don't send emails. They worry about being denounced. Demagogues like Swalwell have terrified them. From the beginning of this investigation, there has been virtually no honest public debate about what is happening or what has happened. Watch this exchange from the early days of the administration. Congressman Adam Schiff came on this show. We asked a simple fact-based question about what we know and what we don't know. And it was, are we certain the Russian government hacked John Podesta's Gmail account? Here's how Adam Schiff responded. Can you look right into the camera and say, I know for a fact the government of Vladimir Putin was behind the hacks of John Podesta's email?
Absolutely. The government of Vladimir Putin was behind the hacks of our institution and the dumping of information.
Of John Podesta's email.
Not only in the United States, but also in Europe.
Okay, you're not, you know what, you're dodging.
And Tucker,
no, look and say, I know they did. John Podesta's emails, they hacked those.
And I think that Ronald Reagan will be rolling over his grave at your carrying water for the Kremlin.
I'm not carrying water for the, you're a sitting member of Congress on the Intel Committee, and you can't say they hacked.
You're gonna have to move your show to RT Russian television.
So to this day, even the most basic, the most elemental questions about the claims in this Russia story remain unanswered. Meanwhile, we've upended our entire foreign policy. We put Americans in prison, all on the basis of charges nobody has been willing to prove. How do we know that, Congressman? Shut up, you're a Russian agent. The conspiracy hawks seem totally impervious to shame or reason. You couldn't debate them because they wouldn't engage. They just threw slurs. They felt no need to demonstrate that any of it was true.
At what point do you draw the line and not accuse the President of the United States without any evidence of being an agent of Russia?
Yeah, he's betrayed our country, and I don't say that lightly. I worked as a prosecutor for 7 years, and
But betraying the country, by the way, we want evidence before you say that, but you said an agent of Russia.
Yeah, he works on their behalf.
But as a prosecutor, that wouldn't be evidence in court. I mean, as a prosecutor, you know the difference between hard evidence and circumstantial evidence. I'm not hearing the evidence that he's an agent of Russia.
Yeah, I think it's pretty clear. It's almost hiding in plain sight.
It wasn't just Swalwell and Schiff. Some of the most respected, supposedly sober figures in our society engaged in this behavior for years. They said things that were so reckless and so damaging to this country that it's almost hard to believe it was happening. Keep in mind as you watch this clip that not so long ago, John Brennan was the director of the CIA, the most powerful intelligence agency in the world.
McClatchy's reporting right now that Special Counsel Robert Mueller has evidence that Trump's personal lawyer and fixer, Michael Cohen, secretly made a late summer trip to Prague during the 2016 presidential campaign. According to two sources familiar with the matter, confirmation of the trip would affirm part of the Steele dossier.
Reports that Mr. Cohen was in Prague, despite his denials, repeated denials. There is more and more indications that there is something here that is far, far from being anything near a witch hunt.
Michael Cohen was in Prague meeting with his Russian handlers. That's what Brennan just told us on cable television.
All right, we can
now
pause
you'd
it
think
there.
if anyone would know that fact.
So
Man,
this
Tucker did a good job with this, showing just how fucked up it
yeah,
was.
yeah. No, Tucker's been just excellent on the Mueller investigation from the beginning. And he did it in the beginning, which is really the tough time to do it when things are so. It's been easier over the last few weeks as it just becomes more and more obvious that's like, oh, they don't have this stuff. And really, truthfully speaking, when the Trump-Russia collusion thing really fell apart, like the final nail in it was Michael Cohen testifying and going, oh, this guy has nothing. I mean, what they're saying in these clips here is that, right, you have back a year and a half ago, Chris Matthews going, it's now out there that Mueller has evidence that Michael Cohen went to Prague, and this confirms part of the dossier, right? Well, if he has this evidence, the guy who he's brought charges against and convicted for lying to Congress, who's now going back to Congress to turn on Trump and is saying he's never been to Prague in his life, well, man, I guess we're going to see another indictment against Michael Cohen then, because he's got this evidence, right? But now they put it out there in your mind that this confirms the dossier. So the dossier is not bullshit, but this whole story is nonsense. And then you have the former head of the CIA going out there and saying, yeah, this is far from a witch hunt. I mean, look at this. Look at this complete bullshit story. And you've had this time and time again, the fucking bombshell from BuzzFeed just a couple months ago that Trump ordered Michael Cohen to lie, except Cohen says none of that ever happened. None of this happened. And he says this under oath after he's already been convicted, and he's trying to throw Trump under the bus and get a reduction in his own sentence. So, I'm just saying it's like, it's tough at the beginning when you have all these people who are like, look, we've got evidence of this extraordinary claim, and there's an investigation going on, and this is all going to come out. Don't you worry. But Tucker was really good on it right away. But I remember at the very beginning seeing that shit, I actually remember watching all of those clips that Tucker was playing, and the ones on his show. And when you see him go, you can just kind of smell. After you realize these guys are completely full of shit, you can kind of smell it on them, And they're, when you go to that guy Schiff and he goes, can you just say, can you look into the camera and say for sure that we know that Russia hacked John Podesta's email? And he goes, we know that Russia hacked our institutions and our election and our this. And he goes, yeah, but can you say Russian police? He goes, hey, you may have to move your show to RT because, you're basically Russian television over here. And you're like, yeah, no, see, that's bullshit. That's bullshit. He's asking you a simple question. Do we know this for a fact or not? It's like, and you can say, look, we don't know it for a fact, but we suspect it for the following reasons. Like, fine. But if you actually have anything, then you don't need this. You don't need this bullshit. Also, I should say that there's something else that's anyway, whatever. There were reasons, let's say, from the very beginning to think this thing was bullshit. And if you started to put it together in your head, it was like, look, if they were said all these people around Trump were doing all these things, and let's say there was collusion between Donald Trump and the Russian government, collusion's not a crime, but let's say they were working together to commit a crime somehow. What we started to find out little by little was that they had been spying on a whole bunch of people in the Trump campaign. I mean, when we found out that they got a FISA warrant to spy on Carter Page, you realize anyone connected to the campaign, once you're spying on someone, you're also spying on everyone they're connected to. So you're not just spying on that one guy. You've got all these guys that they're spying on, right? And as the indictments started to come out, and we've talked about this extensively on the show, but it's easy for just the layman to look at it and be like, oh, they already indicted 6 people in the Trump campaign. But me and you started noticing more and more, like, they're not getting them for anything related to this. How have they not got anyone on this yet? And then, well, everyone on cable news is saying, oh, the walls are closing in on Donald Trump. I think the walls were moving further and further away. He was getting more and more breathing room because it's like, okay, so they got this FISA warrant because they basically said Carter Page was a Russian spy. Well, where's Carter Page right now? He's still free. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm sure they fucking destroyed his life I think he lost his job. He's probably spent millions of dollars in legal fees. He's also been tainted as a Russian spy. Probably can't get a decent job like that. You know, like half these guys are like mortgaging their homes and like all this fucked up shit. But he's walking free. If you were spying on the guy and he's a Russian spy, the fact that you have no evidence to back this up and actually charge him with something doesn't speak so well to the whole thing. You're spying on all these guys. You've got all these fucking people and you've brought them down. I mean, you've got people like Paul Manafort, who was the head of the campaign, right? He was the head of Donald Trump's campaign. Michael Cohen, who was Donald Trump's personal lawyer and his fix-it guy. You've got all these guys, one after another, who now, look, the way these investigations like work, and we know this, is they get you for something. They fucking have you looking at all this time, and now it's time to talk. And they still haven't been able to get anything related to Russian collusion. So it just becomes more and more obvious that, like, yeah, oh man, there's really nothing here. Like, I always maintained from the very beginning that I thought Trump was going to go down for something over this investigation, because I felt like it probably won't be related to Russian collusion, but it looks like they're going to get something, because I'm sure there's some crime he's fucking committed, and once you start getting all the people around him, someone's going to talk. I'm actually shocked how little they've gotten on him.
Now he's looking like a fucking boss.
Yes.
Kidding me? He gets by the Mueller investigation. I mean, first I just thought he was some cool dude grabbing women by the pussies, but this is a whole different level of winning.
Yes, it really is. This is what Trump meant by so much winning.
Yeah.
But it's really quite unbelievable.
You can't beat this guy.
Hey guys, thanks for watching the video. Make sure to hit the subscribe button. I believe it's right here. It's not actually here, but Brian's making it look like it's here. Also, you can check out some highlights, check out the full episodes. Again, thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe, hit the notification button, and yeah, have a good one.